Changing the alternator.
On a 2006 Toyota Highlander.
10 millimeter. Take off the negative side of the battery.
Outside. Some heavy air sparks going on. Okay.
Alright, here's the alternator right there. Now we need to unplug some things here.
What's the trick to getting that?
You squeeze it in the right spot.
Let's see the right spot.
There we go. Alright. That's unhooked.
Show me what you disconnected.
Right here.
Okay.
From there. Now this is bolted on. Looks like maybe a 10 millimeter. Set that nut right over there on the battery. Okay, so
What'd you disconnect then? What was that?
another cable was attached to
Okay.
the ground cable. Okay, now this right there is your pivot bolt for the alternator. And down there, let's see if I can point.
That right there, that nut down there, I have the angle on it, so that's important. That right there. Yep.
Move that screwdriver a little bit more for me. There it is. Yeah, okay, got it.
That's the jack screw that tensions the belt on the alternator.
So that loosens, the
Yeah, it
alternator
pivots.
loosens.
The pivot's up here, and that's what jacks it into place to tighten the belt. So what we need to do is loosen this screw and loosen that screw, and it'll relax.
Okay.
It'll swing down, and the tension will come off the belt.
Right. Yes, it's a 12 millimeter, let's see.
The alternator from Advanced Auto for this car cost $110 plus tax, and there was a $38 charge, core charge that you'll get back, that I'll get back when I take it back in. Okay, so you're loosening the pivot, you're finding out the socket for the
Yeah,
pivot.
I'm getting the right size for it. It's probably a 14 millimeter.
14, 15.
Yeah, it's a
Perfect.
14. Okay. I might need a cheater bar on that. Let me see. Uh-oh. You might have to edit that part.
No, that stays in, baby. That's the best part. There it is. I see it. Solution in hand.
Okay, we got the cat's meow now.
Well, we have 2 6s and 2 3s.
Yeah, something like that. And universal at the end.
Universal at the end, and it's 12 millimeter.
12 millimeter. Reach down there onto that adjusting bolt. Yeah. Oops. Move that light, I can't quite see that. There we go. Slow going, you get one click at a time.
Oh yeah, it is gonna take a while. Was it easy to get started?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Well, I had I had broken it free with the.
Oh, that was earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, so we got the tensioner loose and the bolt out of the front of the alternator loose, so this
It
should
just took a while,
relax.
that's why we jumped ahead.
This should relax here if I push down on this. Yeah. See the belt?
Yeah.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we can get that belt off the front. All right.
Now, belt is gone. There it is.
Yep. Now we take this other 14 out, and the whole thing should come out of there.
Well, it should come loose. Coming out looks like it's going to be a
Coming out,
challenge just
right.
getting everything around there.
Yeah.
Not much room.
Take this 14 the rest of the way out.
Let me see again which one you're taking out before you get all the way.
There.
Yeah, there we go.
This is one of those nuts that has a tight spot in it. Real loose most of the way around. That's using that tight spot in it, so I gotta leave the socket on there just for this. It might be out.
There, she's out now. Okay. Now let's hold it. All right, so here's the new alternator. I just took this bolt out. And bolt went all the way through to here. But the alternator won't come out, and what we're thinking is it's so tight on its bracket that I just can't pull it out. So just get a little pry bar in there. Let's see this light. I want to pry on something that's important.
It's not even budging.
Well, it did a little bit. It moved a little bit. There's something else holding it for sure. There's your loose down here. Yeah, it's moved, but it's just really tight.
It's moved up and down, but I don't think it's moved. Has it moved forward and back?
Yeah, you can see it's moved. I pried it some. See it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm not prying it against something like an air conditioner line or something that's gonna break, you know.
Okay, we've jumped ahead. It took a lot of prying and a lot of pulling to get the alternator off of that those two ears, but it was just a matter of slowly nudging it with the pry bar,
Wiggling it up and down.
wiggling it, pulling on it, pushing on it.
So now we got to get it out of there.
Yeah, now it's stuck
I'm
down
wondering
in
if
the
we could
bottom.
move this aside far enough. Let me clip this, okay? I'm gonna clip that.
Yeah, in the end, prise it up a little bit. There we go.
Swing this to the side. Swing this up. Maybe we can get it out here. Don't know.
Come this way first, right?
There we go. It's out. Hole there.
Wait a minute, no, I don't have a good shot of it.
See that hole right there?
Yep, yep.
That's part of the tensioner. That's a through hole.
Right.
Okay. The alternator is bolted to the front of this.
Mm-hmm. And that's the one we were having to move one click at a time.
Yeah, this moves up and down.
Mm-hmm. As you tighten or loosen that, and that tightens the belt on the alternator.
Tightens the belt.
Awesome.
Pivots up here on the top.
Okay, everybody, this is the tricky part of this whole job we just figured out. This has an adjustable catch on this side. It's this whole housing right
Yoke
there.
width, I guess I'd call it.
Yeah, the yoke
The
width,
width of this.
between those two ears.
And this bushing,
The original was, what was it?
2.650.
2.650.
And this bushing moves in and out.
And so we're having
Trying
to
to-
adjust that. We're having to use calipers to get it. And we want to give it just a little bit more room. So we're just,
I'm looking for about 2.660. There we go.
there we go. All right, let me show you on the caliper.
1.660. Sorry, it's 1 point, not 2 point. So that's 1.660.
So
that
we know we
should
can get
slip
that
on
on,
And that's-
but it's tight enough that it'll,
And that's bigger than it was.
And actually, when you put that bolt in there, it will pull this
yeah.
back in.
All right, I didn't get this on video, guys, because it took all of our hands, but you just get the alternator back in place. Hold
We
it.
got the pivot bolt on
And you
there.
get the pivot bolt in. Once you get the pivot bolt in, then you can tighten it up to a certain extent so it still will pivot, but if you get a good hold on that. And the
Yep,
bushing that
go
we
on.
were, not a bushing, but the
yoke.
movable bolt, the yoke on the other side, we opened it up as wide as it could go so it'd make it easier to get it around the ears. Then once you get it in, it's going to pull that tight from this side.
Yep.
We also had another friend come over. Yeah, another set of hands. It's by accident. Accidentally, we already did it.
Okay, that's as far as I want to go with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tighten those brackets up now.
The brackets are these pieces here.
Top piece.
Snugging out.
Tight for the bottom. Tight for the top.
Okay. All right, now.
That's all Bud's pressure that he can put on it, which is what, 15 pounds?
With my calibrated torque wrist, I'd say there's 70 pounds on it. All right.
Now,
Now we got to get the bolt back in that was
this is the tricky one.
that goes through the bottom piece of that cubed, rectangularly cubed piece of the tensioner rod.
So this is the bolt we're putting in now. Right down here. That's the one we're putting in now.
That just threads to begin with, yeah.
Now that's going to go through that tensioner cube as well.
It's gonna go through the tensioner cube and then
Yeah.
in here. And through the bracket. See that? The alternator ear is on the back side of that bracket.
It's hard for me to show that.
So you got to lift it up.
I don't know if you can see that bracket. See that bracket, that big slotted bracket back there? Can you see that?
Yeah, move it again one more time for me. You can see that a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
So the alternator is on the back side of that.
Yeah.
So this goes through the tensioner cube here.
Can I hold that up?
I got it. The tensioner cube. And through that. Now I gotta swing this until I can find the hole that that goes into.
And that's just lining those two up to get them so you can put the tension on it or get it attached not just to the piece of the tensioner cube that moves, but also to the alternator itself. guys. It's really hard to show, but give you an idea. This is a pinch of a difficult job, but not if you know what you're doing.
I think I've got it started. So let's see if I can. Yeah, it started in the alternator ear. It's through the cube, through the bracket, and started in the alternator ear. So I'm just threading it in by hand now as far as I can go.
And this is the one we can only get one click when we were taking it out, one click from the ratchet every time. So it's a little bit of a labor intensive.
Did you count the clicks beyond that?
No, we didn't count them. Should have.
Okay, so that's good.
40 level
Now-
click process.
Well, before we get too far, we want to make sure that that belt's on. So it's on the crank, it's on the air conditioner.
Yeah, you gotta make sure it's on everything it's supposed to be on, not just on the alternator.
I gotta loosen that tensioner a little bit.
I took it into shop at 160.
Loosen the tensioner and relax it a little bit more.
All right, guys, we have finally gotten the belt back on. That was just a matter of loosening that tensioner or tightening the tensioner.
Loosening it.
Loosening the tensioner bolt.
Relaxes the
So it relaxes the alternator so it can drop farther, so then you can get the belt on. Just make sure you get the belt on the 3 pulleys that it has to be around.
So now what I'm gonna do is, I took the tensioner and I tightened it to put a little bit of tension on the belt, but still the pivot bolt and the tensioner, the
tight.
2 alternator bolts are still not tight.
All right.
So I want to snug those up just a little bit. And then I'll put the full tension on.
Right now you're working on the pivot bolt, right?
Yeah,
And you're making it snug, not as tight as you want it to be.
right. Okay, that's bottomed out, but it's not really tight. Now we gotta tighten that.
Haven't put you
12
15 pounds of pressure on it yet?
Yeah, that 12 millimeter is, this is the one we can only get one click at a time.
Yeah.
That's
You see what he's doing there, folks. That's the one we showed you before. It's on the bottom of the alternator.
That's the light in the right place.
The reason you want to snug these up is because if you tighten that tensioner without these snug, the alternator is going to cock and won't be in line with everything. This might take a while. We'll fast forward.
I'll be back. Yes.
What happened was when I put tension on the belt with the tensioner before I tightened these up, it was a little loose, but then when I came back and tightened these, it tightened the belt even more.
And then you can put final pressure on it, tension on it with the
If you need
tensioner bolt if you need to.
Yeah.
You need to either tighten it or loosen it. So what's your, what's the rule of thumb, which is a good term to use in this, what's the rule of thumb for making sure that the belt is tight enough or loose or too loose?
Using an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch deflection.
If it squeals, tighten up the,
I snug
tighten up
it,
the
but it
tensioner.
wasn't fully tightened.
Tighten it up some more.
All right, this is getting that extra 15 pounds of pressure on there.
All right, I think we're good. We gotta hook the wires up, battery back on, and good to go. What was this? It
This
was
is the reverse part. What was this?
this was a 10, I think.
Did this go somewhere?
Yeah, was this left over?
There's that last thing we took off right there. That's the wiring piece that snaps back in place. This thing goes on there. Bolt back on the top, holds it in place.
And that's a 10 millimeter. I think that's what it was.
That's what you said earlier.
Yep.
Let's go back and check the tape.
All right, that's
Wait, we
tight.
have tape.
Cover that up. Snap this back in place. Cover on, put the battery on, we're good to go.
Everybody knows how to do that.
That's from the old alternator, we don't need that. It's that 10 millimeter from the top of the alternator.
See, everybody explain that to me, because anytime you have leftover parts, you have to account for them.
We done.
All right.
Start it up, let me take a voltage reading there.
When you disconnect your battery, do you,
Hold that over there for me. Go ahead. What?
you have to reset your clocks and all that fun stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to do that.
Radio,
Yeah.
You see that? Oh yeah. 14.0507. It's over 14. Rev it up a little. We're good. Before you were only putting out 13.2 or something. Yeah. We're good. Poison was only putting out 13, so.
oh,
All right, guys, so the alternator has been changed. It was not once we figured out some things, it became less of a difficult job than it could have been.
And
But there
once
was a
the
lot of things for
appropriate
us to figure out.
light holder showed up. it
Yeah,
just
that's
went-
right, right.
That's so much smoother.
Once Rock got here to hold the light,
And no extra parts, that's good.
no extra parts. So we are done with that.
And how much did you save?
$200.
But you gotta buy a bottle of bourbon now or scotch.
I'm getting the balcony. If anybody wants a suggestion on a good scotch, get the balcony. It's about $65 a bottle and worth every drop.
That's good.
Bye.